Kim's classmates were initially envious of her necklace, but after hearing that it was a gift from Steven, their expressions turned sour. That's probably a knockoff he bought on the streets. I agree. He can't even support himself. How would he have the money to buy Fergus's necklace? Marrying a good-for-nothing man is such a pity. He doesn't have the money to buy a proper present. Not everyone can be like Joe. He spent $5 million for a single meal. Steven smiled as he gestured to Joe. You can ask Joe if it's real or fake. He would know. Joe was surprised when everyone looked at him. He gritted his teeth in anger when he recalled what happened at the restaurant that day. He turned away and looked elsewhere. You're talking as if the necklace is real. Do you have an invoice? Do you have an anti-counterfeit certificate? One of Kim's classmates asked. Of course I do. Steven took out his phone and showed them pictures. After Joe questioned him last time, he had predicted that Kim's classmates would do the same. He made sure to ask Keisha to send him the relevant documents. Kim's classmates were dumbfounded. I can't believe it. Carl was also curious. He didn't think a freeloader like Steven would ever have the money to buy a necklace that was worth over $1 million. Is it real or fake? Carl asked as he came over. From what I can see, it's real. Are you serious? Carl exclaimed. Steven, tell me honestly, where did you steal this money from? Don't you know that stealing money is a crime? If you don't tell me, I'll call the police right now. Steven shrugged. You have a wild imagination. Watch what you say. I could teach you a lesson right now if I wanted to. Joe looked at Steven in disdain. Carl, forget about him. It's only a necklace worth around $1 million. Who cares where he got the money from? You'll only be lowering yourself to his level if you continue talking to him. Ignore him and let's enjoy ourselves. Everyone followed Joe inside. He had reserved the bar for the evening. It wasn't long before the atmosphere turned lively as people rushed to sing on stage. Steven was quietly sitting next to Kim and drinking his wine. Caitlin propped her chin up with her hand and sighed. Why are they fighting over the mic when none of them can sing? I'm starting to miss the person we saw at the mall the other day. It would be great if he could sing a song for me. You haven't even seen his face before, but you're already talking like he's yours, Kim teased. Hey, are you talking about that one participant in the Masked Singer competition? I've seen a video of him. He sang The Girl Who Spoke to Me. His voice was beautiful. Right now, any video with him in it has at least 5 million views. Kim leaned over to Caitlin and whispered, Look, you have quite a few rivals. Caitlin crossed her arms. None of them are as good as me. Steven had only sung on stage to fulfill one of Kim's dreams and make her happy. Who would have thought that he would suddenly become famous? Are you talking about that man who sang on stage at the mall? Yeah, you went to the bathroom and missed it. But sometimes I feel like your voice is similar to his, Kim said. Caitlin looked Steven up and down. What are you talking about? The person we saw was handsome, tall, and charming. How could he be your husband? Steven laughed in response before excluding himself from the conversation. When Joe saw how heated the discussion was, he took out his phone and searched for the videos they were talking about. Where did this guy come from? He had become popular overnight and won the hearts of so many people. As Joe watched the video, he noticed that the man's voice and build were similar to his. An idea crossed his mind as he looked at Kim. Get ready to fall madly in love with me, Joe thought. He left the bar to make preparations. 15 minutes later, the lights in the bar dimmed as a man wearing a mask appeared on stage. I'll be singing The Girl Who Spoke to Me. I hope you all like it. The music started playing, and familiar lyrics echoed in the bar. The heart is empty, the sky is vast, and the clouds are heavy. Everyone exchanged glances. Is this the man who sang at the Masked Singer competition? Listen to his voice and look at his build. They have to be the same person. Wait, could he be one of our classmates? Caitlin's heart pounded as she stared at the stage. Kim, what do you think? I'm not sure. He is similar to the person we saw at the mall, but there's something different about him. But how many people in the world would have such a beautiful voice and attractive stature? I don't think there could be this many coincidences. Stephen sat back and watched the man sing. How interesting, he thought. When the song came to an end, someone asked the man to take off his mask, and he readily agreed. Everyone held their breath in anticipation. The moment he took off his mask, Kim's classmates screamed, one after another. It's Joe! It really was one of our classmates. He's so handsome. Not only is he a professor, he also has an amazing voice. I'm in love. After our reunion ends, I'll confess to him. Even if he only spends one night with me, I'll be happy. Several of them had been secretly falling in love with Joe. Now that he had revealed his identity as the mystery singer, their feelings for him grew stronger. Carl went up on stage to praise him. Joe, I didn't know it was you. I watched a video of you, and you're so popular online. Who would have thought the mysterious singer would turn out to be my classmate? Joe looked in Kim's direction. Singing is only one of my hobbies. On the day that video was taken, I went on stage on a whim. I didn't think it would start trending the very next day. Carl pretended like he was in awe. I'm so envious. You're handsome, knowledgeable, and great at singing. What can't you do? You're exaggerating, Joe said, but he secretly liked Carl's flattery. Joe noticed Stephen's gaze. What are you looking at? Aren't you going to sing a song for us? It's not every day we have the time to meet up. I'm looking at you, because I was wondering how thick-skinned a person could be. Joe didn't say anything. Had he been exposed? Everyone rushed to defend him. Stephen, what are you trying to say? Do you think that you're better than Joe? If you have the courage, go on stage and sing. Kim, hurry up and get your husband to sing. It's rare for us to have a get-together. You won't ruin our mood, right? When everyone turned their attention to Kim, she glanced at Stephen. She wasn't sure how well he could sing. Caitlin glared at him. Why are you hesitating like a coward? Just go up there and howl some lyrics. That's what other people did. It's not like you'll die if you sing terribly. Stephen put down his glass of wine. All right, then. As he went up on stage, everyone continued to mock him. Is he really going to sing? What an idiot. I have to record a video. Who knows? Maybe my video will trend tomorrow. Does anyone have earplugs? If not, I suggest you all cover your ears. That will save you the pain. Stephen looked at Kim as he held the mic. I'll love you for 10,000 years, he said. This was the title of the song that he was planning to sing, and it was a confession. Kim's heart skipped a beat. Stephen pressed play, and music filled the bar. With each rotation of the earth, I'll love you for one more day. His voice was clear and melodious. It was gentle and pleasant to the ear, like the sound of spring water flowing onto a lake, soothing everyone's hearts. Everyone stared at the stage in a trance. This song reminds me of my ex-boyfriend. I still love him. Every word makes my heart pound. Caitlin was in disbelief as she turned to Kim. When did he learn how to sing? I don't know, but he's singing really well. Kim's heart fluttered as she held Stephen's gaze. When she was younger, she used to envision her future partner singing her a love song. Today, Stephen had fulfilled a long-forgotten dream from her youth. Stephen never took his eyes off Kim. He had wanted to tell her every lyric he was singing for a very long time, but he had never had the chance. I'll brave the test of time and love you for 10,000 years. Everyone was entranced by Stephen's singing. He reminded them of their own experiences in love. When the song ended, Stephen's voice lingered in the bar, and several people were still reminiscing about the past. Caitlin, doesn't his voice remind you of someone? Kim asked. Yeah, it was familiar. It felt like Joe was imitating the original singer while Stephen sang his own interpretation of the song. It was emotional and deep, just like the person we saw at the mall. When Stephen left the stage and went back to Kim, he was concerned when she looked a little out of it. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I was just thinking about your song. When did you learn how to sing?" Stephen grinned. "I learned recently. I'm not that good." Caitlin was suspicious. A sudden realization came to her when she noticed his shoes. They were the same shoes that the man on stage at the mall had worn. She remembered them clearly, because there was a mark on the side of his left shoe. Could it be? Caitlin's heart pounded in excitement as she looked at Kim and then at Stephen. Carl snapped out of his trance. "He sang a bit better than we expected, but who cares? That doesn't change anything. He's still a worthless son-in-law." His words woke everyone up from their daze. How disgusting. I was actually starting to have a better impression of him. Life is so unfair. Why does someone like him have such a good voice? But Joe's still the best. No one can top his performance or his popularity online. But why do I feel like Stephen's voice sounds more like... "Be quiet," Carl yelled. "Joe admitted that he was the person in the video. Are you trying to say that he was lying?" But the seed of doubt had been sowed. More and more people started to question if Joe was really the mystery singer. All of a sudden, someone kicked the door open and put an end to their conversation. A burly man with a cigar in his mouth strode into the bar, followed by several others. "Who hit my friend? Come forward and show yourself, or else I'll make it so that none of you will be able to leave." A man with a swollen face stood behind the group. This was the same person who Kim's classmates had beat up before they came into the bar. Carl turned to Joe and whispered, "What should we do? It looks like we messed with the wrong person. The leader of their group is Dominic, and he's famous for being ruthless. There are rumors that when he first appeared in this neighborhood, he violently assaulted the previous groups to take their territory." The people around them overheard their conversation. "What? That's Dominic? I heard he beats people up without batting an eye." "I heard he's protective of his group. He won't stop until he gets back at us." Several of them were already sneaking away. They were ready to escape the moment they found an opportunity. "Calm down," Joe said. "We did beat up his friend, but it's not like we didn't have a reason. He was the one who started it. Also, my uncle is the president of the Business Alliance, and my teacher is a famous doctor. No matter who they are, they'll at least have to hear me out." Joe spoke calmly, but he was panicking on the inside. What was with today? First, he was cheated out of $5 million, and now he offended another influential group of thugs. Dominic wasn't pleased to see them whispering. He pulled out numerous shiny weapons from his bag and stabbed the table with them. "All of you, shut up! Whoever dares to talk, I'll slice them in half." Joe forced himself to step forward. "We were in the wrong. I'd like to apologize. My uncle is Philip Pace. He's the president of the Business Alliance, and I'm also the student of Colin Hester, a famous doctor. I hope you can forgive us." "What are you rambling about? I don't know any of those people." Dominic kicked Joe square in the chest. He bumped against the table and collapsed on the floor. Dominic's friend with the swollen cheek recognized Joe. "It's him. He was the one who hit me." Dominic walked up to Joe and loomed over him. He grabbed his collar and lifted him up. "So it was you. You're too arrogant for your own good." Joe was scared out of his wits. He tried to struggle free, but to no avail. Joe's mind reeled when Dominic slapped him across the face. Before Dominic could hit him again, he cried out, "I'm innocent! Someone told me to hit him!" Dominic threw him on the table. "Who? If you lie to me, don't blame me for using my knife." Joe struggled to sit up. He pointed a shaky finger at Stephen. "It was him. His name is Stephen Adams. He said your friend scared his girlfriend with his driving skills. He told me to help him vent his anger." Everyone turned their attention to Stephen. Kim rushed to clarify the situation. "That's nonsense. Stephen wasn't in the car when we crashed." However, the people around them backed Joe up. I remember now. I was with Joe when he received a call from Stephen. He told Joe to beat up your friend. I heard that too. At the time, Joe was strongly against it. But that Stephen actually threatened his own wife, Kim, so we had no choice but to agree. This is all because of that Stephen. Dominic, you can do whatever you want to him, but let us leave first. Kim didn't expect her university classmates to be this despicable. You're all going too far. Nothing you said was the truth. Caitlin also stood up for Stephen. She's right. I was with Joe the whole time. When did he ever pick up the phone? Carl gave them a look of disapproval. I understand why Kim would defend Stephen, because they're married. But Caitlin, why are you sticking up for him? Kim and Caitlin couldn't believe what they were hearing. These people were ridiculous. Dominic dragged his knife against the wall as he went up to Stephen. Are you the person they're talking about? Stephen Adams? Stephen sent a message before looking up from his phone. Yes, I'm Kim's husband. You sure are confident. Aren't you scared that I'll cut you down? Dominic threw a chair against the wall, and it broke upon impact. Kim's classmates screamed and crouched on the floor. Stephen was relaxed as he looked around the bar. Are you all sure you want to cut ties with me and pretend like we've never met? No one replied. They looked at Stephen like he was their scapegoat. Forget it. Kim, Caitlin, let's go, Stephen said as he stood up. Dominic was furious when Stephen ignored him, but before he could do anything, his phone rang. Dominic's expression turned into one of fear when he saw the number. He hurried to the door to take the call. After a long time, Dominic returned. He was no longer as haughty as before. Mr. Adams, please feel free to leave. I've investigated thoroughly. This has nothing to do with the three of you. The others were hopeful when they saw that Dominic was letting them leave. What about us? Shut it, Dominic warned. One more word and I'll chop you all into pieces. Stephen held Kim's hand and motioned for Caitlin to follow them. Let's go. When they reached the door, Stephen turned around. All right, I almost forgot. There's someone named Carl. His mouth stinks. You guys should teach him some manners. Carl paled when Stephen called him out. When they left the bar, Kim couldn't help but look back. Stephen, can't you bring them with you? Stephen put on an expression of someone who just survived a life-or-death situation. It's good enough that the three of us made it out safely. I used your name to send Christina a text just now. That's why she saved us. Besides, they won't go overboard. Kim remembered the beautiful woman at the hotel who had given her a business card. Christina had told her to give her a call if she ever needed help. At that time, Kim didn't know when she would ever need to call her. Who knew Christina would save them today? Caitlin had been thinking that Stephen was the mystery singer, but she scrapped that thought when she saw him act timid at the bar. Here I was thinking you knew someone powerful, but it turns out it was Kim who had connections. Stephen smiled. That's right, Kim's incredible. Someone like you won't have the connections like she does. Whenever Stephen was around, he never failed to annoy Caitlin. But before she could say anything else, he and Kim said their goodbyes and left in the car. The next day, after Stephen drove Kim to work, he rushed to Colin's house. How is he doing? Is he okay? Mr. Adams, he's no longer on the brink of death. Whoever it is, as long as they're still breathing, I'll be able to save them. Colin spoke respectfully, but there was a hint of pride in his voice. Okay, take me to him. Be careful not to reveal my identity. Colin led Stephen to the other room. Matthew's complexion was pale, and he could barely sit up. I always had a feeling that you weren't an ordinary person. The same goes for you, Stephen said. An ordinary person wouldn't have had such a dangerous enemy. He sat down on the chair next to the bed. Isn't there something you want to tell me? Matthew took a deep breath before telling his story. He used to be my subordinate and my best friend. When we left the slums, we were foolish and not afraid of death. We were always getting into trouble. After we made a name for ourselves in the underworld and expanded our territory, he joined forces with a few other groups and stole my position. He even killed my wife in front of me. Why didn't he kill you? Because I got lucky. He shot me, but I managed to escape all the way to Los Angeles. It wasn't until recently when he found out I was hiding here. That's why he sent someone to get rid of me once and for all. A trace of emotion flickered in Stephen's eyes. No wonder I felt like we were alike. We've had similar experiences. He looked Matthew in the eye. Do you want revenge? Yes, but with my current condition, I don't think... Stephen stood up and headed to the door. If you want your revenge, then the first thing you have to do is recover. After you get better, I'll help you with what you want to do. At this time, Harry was in Kim's office at the company. You're the vice president, but you barely have any work to do. This can't continue. Kim was in no mood to sugarcoat her words. Isn't that all because of you? Hey, why are you making me sound like some kind of bad guy? No one's stopping you from working here. I actually have something for you to do. This afternoon, someone from our company needs to supervise the inspection at the Century Garden. I have other things to take care of, so I'll leave this to you. As soon as Harry finished, he put a stack of documents on Kim's desk and left the room without waiting for her answer. Kim was dumbfounded as she flipped through the documents. This was a project that Harry had been overseeing for a long time. She didn't know anything about it, so how could she be responsible for the inspection? More importantly, the inspection was the most important part of this project. Why would Harry push the work onto her instead of personally doing the job himself? But regardless of the reason, Harry had already given her this task, and she would have to do it in his place. After lunch, Kim decided to give Stephen a call. She had a strange feeling about all this, and she didn't think it would be a good idea to go alone. Since there was no one in the company who she could trust, she could only ask Stephen to tag along. If something really did happen, at least he would be on her side. Are you free right now? I need to drop by the Century Garden. Can you come with me? Sure, I'll pick you up soon. Stephen arrived at 1 p.m. Kim's mind was a mess as she got into the car. She had spent the entire morning trying to digest all the information she had been given on the project. Why do you need to go there? Shouldn't the vice president be in charge of finances and internal affairs? Stephen asked. I only found out today that I'm responsible for the inspection. This has always been Harry's job, but he said he had other important matters to attend to, and he doesn't have time to do it himself. That sounds a bit strange. What do you think he's up to? I don't know, but those who work in the real estate industry should be aware of how important inspections are. They could make or break the project. If there was an accident, you'll probably have to take the blame for it instead of Harry. Kim thought it over. But he wouldn't dare try anything. Everyone knows how important this project is to the Cassidy family. And even if he wanted to, Grandma would never let him. I hope you're right, Stephen replied. Half an hour later, they arrived. When they stepped out of the car, a group of people in uniform rushed over. A middle-aged man in uniform came forward. Are you from the Cassidy group? Why are you late for the inspection? Although the man's tone was rude, Kim didn't want to offend him since he was only filling in for Harry. She apologized with a smile. You must be Mr. Mullen. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. I'm Kim. Before she could finish, Mr. Mullen interrupted her. Cut the small talk and let's get started. We're busy people. Kim tried her best to maintain her smile. In order to pass the inspection, she could only swallow her frustrations. Please follow me. She led the group of inspectors into the building. Stephen followed them from behind. A typical inspector would be familiar with the employees from an established company like the Cassidy Group. Whether it was professionalism or for the sake of making connections, they would treat them with respect. It didn't make sense for this inspector to act high and mighty the moment he saw Kim. Let's see what tricks you have up your sleeve, Stephen thought. Not even 5 minutes after they entered the building, Mr. Mullen started criticizing. Haven't you cleaned up yet? Kim was nervous when she saw the mess in the hallway. We were careless. I'll ask someone to clean it up right away. Mr. Mullen pointed to the windows. Which company manufactured these windows? Are they durable? How's the quality? Kim racked her brain to recall. Real estate projects involve numerous companies, and it was impossible to remember all of them in only a few hours. I believe they're of standard quality. So you're not sure? If you don't know your own building, what was the point of you coming here? Kim was ashamed by his scolding, because he was right, but she did the best she could with the little time she had to prepare. As they made their way to each floor, Mr. Mullen asked countless questions, and Kim tried her best to answer them. Finally, they arrived at the rooftop. Towards the end of the inspection, Mr. Mullen crouched and examined a box of steel bars. Are these Lorenzi's steel bars? Kim was flustered as she flipped through the documents in a hurry. She had never heard of this company before. She skimmed through each page, but she couldn't find any mention of steel bars from Lorenzi. Mr. Mullen, we're using steel bars from a different company. Do you have eyes? Are you not seeing what I'm seeing? How could you hide this many steel bars from Lorenzi on the roof? They don't meet the safety requirements. From what I can see, your project is dangerous. Kim was getting anxious. She didn't know why these steel bars were here either. She called Harry, but he didn't pick up. In the end, she could only call the project manager, Raymond Cassidy, and ask him to come. When Raymond arrived, he glanced at Kim in disapproval before greeting Mr. Mullen. What's the situation? Mr. Mullen didn't answer and turned around. Kim couldn't be bothered to care about Raymond's disrespectful attitude towards her. Explain what's going on with these steel bars from Lorenzi. How would I know? The last time I came, they weren't here. You're the manager of this project. How could you not know? If you're aware that I'm the manager, then you should also know that I'm not in charge of the inspection. Since the building has been completed, my work is done. You should solve your own problems. As a vice president, you can't even handle something as important as an inspection? You're an embarrassment to our family. Without another word, Raymond left. While Kim was at a loss of what to do, Stephen went up to her and held her hand. Mr. Mullen, how do you propose we deal with this situation? He asked. There's nothing more to be said. You failed the inspection. Kim tightened her grip on Stephen's hand. The Century Garden project was essentially the face of the Cassidy Group. If something went wrong, it would be a devastating blow to their reputation, and there would also be a shortage of funds. They couldn't afford to fail the inspection. Stephen narrowed his eyes. You're giving your answer after seeing a few boxes? Shouldn't you call some experts over to inspect them? I don't believe you have the qualifications to determine their quality. You're bold to threaten me, but I'm the inspector here, and I have full authority. You've failed the inspection, and that's that. Nothing you say can change my mind. Stephen was now completely sure that Mr. Mullen had accepted a bribe to intentionally make things difficult for Kim. Is that so? Are you telling me that even your boss, James, can't overturn your judgment? Mr. Mullen laughed. Stephen, don't think I don't know who you are. You're only a son-in-law of the Cassidy family. Even your grandmother isn't qualified to meet with my boss. What makes you think you can contact him? You'll know soon enough, Stephen said. He sent a message to Jack, telling him to get James to come to Century Garden. Mr. Mullen sent the other inspector away. All right, I won't be leaving yet. I want to see how far you can take your nonsense. Meanwhile, Harry had just received a phone call from Raymond. Grandma, we should go. Raymond told me they're at the rooftop. Has everything been arranged? You can't make any mistakes. The inspection is the most important part of this project. Don't worry. Mr. Mullen is one of us. On the surface, he'll tell Kim she's failed the inspection. But in reality, we passed a long time ago. Good, Helen said as she got ready to leave. I don't have anything against Kim, but we can't risk having the Cassidy Group fall into the hands of outsiders. Meanwhile, Kim was pacing back and forth on the rooftop, trying to figure out a solution. Stephen, what should I do? I'm in big trouble. Are you sure Mr. Mullen's boss is going to come? I've never seen him before. It doesn't seem like Mr. Mullen's going to give us a pass. If we fail the inspection, Grandma will be really mad when she finds out. I'm afraid Grandma knows better than any of us, Stephen said. Kim stopped pacing. What do you mean? Think about it. How is it possible for all of these coincidences to happen on the same day? Harry had something to do with it, so he passed the responsibility of the inspection onto you. And Mr. Mullen, who's in charge of the inspection, made things difficult for you the entire time. Not to mention, why are there so many boxes of Lorenzi's steel bars on the roof? So you're saying Harry did this on purpose? It's not just him. Even though he's not that competent, he's not stupid. Without Grandma's approval, he would never make such a risky move. Kim was conflicted. For the past few years, she had done everything she could for the Cassidy family, and she had tried her hardest to live up to Helen's expectations. But after recent events, she was beginning to wonder if they would ever acknowledge her and support her. A group of people pushed open the door to the rooftop. It was Helen, Harry, and several members of the Cassidy family. Grandma and Harry, why are you two here? Kim asked nervously. If we didn't come, this project would have been ruined, Harry said. Do you know how important this project is to the Cassidy family? You're the vice president, but you can't even handle an inspection. Grandma, I can explain. Helen signaled for Kim to be quiet. There's no need for that. We'll talk later. She walked up to Mr. Mullen and greeted him. Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Mullen. I'm really sorry for causing you trouble today. My granddaughter is lacking. Please forgive her. Miss Helen, this isn't our first meeting, so I'll get straight to the point. To tell you the truth, I'm not pleased with your granddaughter. Her professionalism isn't up to standard. She wasn't prepared for the inspection, and she was disrespectful. I don't understand why you would make someone like her the vice president. Harry watched with a satisfied smile. It seemed like the money he spent last night wasn't for nothing. Don't worry, Mr. Mullen. Once I get back to the company, I'll submit the necessary documentation to remove Kim from the vice president position. As for the inspection... Helen trailed off and gave Mr. Mullen an expectant look. It won't be a problem. I'll have experts come later and check the steel bars. As long as they're not from Lorenzi, I'll give you a pass for the inspection. That's good to hear, Mr. Mullen. Please follow me. I'll have my incompetent granddaughter apologize to you. Helen led Mr. Mullen over to Kim. Apologize to Mr. Mullen right now. Grandma, it's not my fault. You abused your position as the vice president to do whatever you wanted outside the company. And you even disrespected Mr. Mullen. Just where did you get the courage? When we got back to the company, you'll no longer be the vice president. If you don't apologize now, don't even think about coming to work tomorrow. Tears welled up in Kim's eyes. She felt even more wronged when she saw the smug look on Harry's face. Kim didn't have a choice. She had worked hard at the Cassidy Group for many years. She couldn't let her efforts go to waste. Just as Kim was about to apologize, Stephen stepped forward and stopped her. You didn't do anything wrong. There's no need to apologize. Who do you think you are? Harry snapped. You have no right to go against Grandma. Kim held Stephen's arm. It's okay. An apology is nothing. I can't leave the company. Mr. Mullen crossed his arms when he saw Stephen. It wasn't just your granddaughter. This man also disrespected me. Get him to apologize right now. Harry didn't wait for Helen's instructions, and she spoke in her stead. Didn't you hear what he said? Hurry up and apologize. For someone as shameless as you, it won't be difficult, right? An apology from me is fine, but I have one question for you. You were supposed to be in charge of the inspection today, but you handed over the task to Kim at the last minute. What urgent matter could have been more important than the inspection? As for you, Grandma, we've only been here for 30 minutes. How'd you get here so fast? Were you already expecting a problem with the inspection? Helen wasn't happy with the implication behind Stephen's question. Why do I have to report to you? Just because you have some connections with the owner of Global Investment doesn't mean you can just say whatever you want. If you don't apologize, I'll kick you out of the Cassidy family. It's fine if you don't want to tell the truth. I wasn't expecting you to give me an answer anyway. Stephen turned to Kim. Do you see their true colors now? Kim blinked back tears. Helen and Harry really had colluded with each other to force her to give up her position as the vice president.
Your granddaughter's husband said that he would tell my boss to come here in person. He won't be pleased when he hears about this,
Mr. Mullen said. Helen was so shocked that she almost lost her balance. James was someone who had the power to decide the fate of every real estate project with a single word. Even the CEO of the top real estate company in the city, Kelvin Mills, had to treat James with respect when the development of the villas was underway. And now, Stephen had asked James to come all the way here and meet with him.
Stephen, I don't care if you want to ruin your life, but why did you have to involve our family?
Helen raised her walking stick to hit him, but he casually stepped to the side and dodged it. If you don't believe me, just wait. At most, he'll be here in 3 minutes. Besides, no one can kick Kim out of the company, not even you. The other members of the Cassidy family scolded Stephen. He had been so submissive for the past 3 years. Since when did he have the courage to talk back to Helen? You may have connections with the owner of Global Investment, but don't think you can go against Grandma. Look how self-righteous he's being. He thinks he's someone great.
It's only 3 minutes, Mr. Mullen said. I can wait. If my boss doesn't come, Stephen won't be the only person in trouble. The entire Cassidy family will have to bear the consequences.
Everyone gave Stephen a venomous look. If they couldn't resolve today's issue properly, the Cassidy family would most likely never recover. Stephen, are you sure he'll come? Kim asked. Don't worry, he wouldn't dare to not show up. 3 minutes later, James was nowhere to be seen. Mr. Mullen didn't look the least bit surprised.
Time's up. It's obvious my boss won't be coming. When I get back, I'll make sure you and the Cassidy family.
Before he could finish his threat, the screeching of tires cut him off. Everyone looked over the railing and saw a car pulled up in front of the building. Soon, James burst through the door to the rooftop. Mr. Mullen ran up to him in a panic.
What brings you here?
He stuttered. James shot Mr. Mullen a glare before addressing the crowd with a smile.
Excuse me? Which one of you is Miss Kim?
Kim glanced at Stephen in disbelief. That would be me. James ignored Mr. Mullen and hurried over.
Miss Kim, hello. I'm really sorry about my employee. When I get back, I'll definitely teach him a lesson.
15 minutes ago, he had received multiple calls from several influential people in the city. They all warned him not to offend Kim Cassidy, or else he would have to face serious consequences. For everyone to warn him to this extent, Kim must have a powerful person supporting her behind the scenes. Kim was confused by James' overly friendly attitude. It's okay, you don't have to go out of your way. As for Helen, she was thrilled that a prominent person like James had come to visit. When Helen introduced herself as the CEO of the Cassidy Group, James merely threw her an uninterested glance, as if he hadn't heard a single word she said. To him, the Cassidy Group was an insignificant company that he could care less about.
Miss Kim, it was my employee who offended you. I'll get him to apologize.
James gave Mr. Mullen a cold look.
Why are you still standing there? Apologize. Now.
Mr. Mullen gritted his teeth and went up to Kim. He lowered his head and did as he was told.
I'm sorry, Miss Kim.
It was only a few minutes ago when he had asked Helen to force Kim to apologize to him. Who knew their positions would be reversed in such a short amount of time?
You don't sound too sincere, James said. It looks like you don't want to work for me anymore.
If he were fired, his life would be over.
I'm very sorry, Miss Kim. Everything is my fault.
Everyone was shocked. In the blink of an eye, the arrogant Mr. Mullen was now on his and apologizing to the very person he had criticized. Since that was taken care of, James decided he might as well do Kim a favor. He turned to Helen.
You said you're the CEO of the Cassidy Group, correct? In the future, I hope you can treat Miss Kim with respect and support her.
Of course, I understand,
Helen promised. Stephen intentionally pretended like he was clueless. Are you sure about that? Didn't you say you were planning to remove Kim from the vice president's position as soon as you got back? Oh, and didn't you also want to kick her out of the company? Helen and Harry gave Stephen a dirty look. This
was trying to take advantage of James's influence. Is that true? James demanded without a trace of politeness. Let me give you a word of advice. In the future, if Miss Kim is ever treated unfairly at your company, be prepared for your family to disappear from the city. Helen rushed to reassure him.
No need to worry, no one will touch her position.
Good. James held out his business card to Kim. Miss Kim, if you need help, feel free to give me a call anytime. Everyone stared at James and Mr. Mullen as they left the rooftop. Grandma, if there's nothing else you'd like to discuss, me and Stephen will be leaving, Kim said. After what happened today, she felt like she had grown further apart from Helen. Helen stopped them.
Kim, you couldn't possibly be thinking that just because you have James on your side that you're suddenly above everyone else, right?
Of course not.
Fine. Let me tell you this. As long as I'm alive, I'll be in charge of this family. You had better behave yourself.
Helen walked past Kim and Stephen, followed by Harry and the rest of the Cassidy family. Helen didn't want to stay here any longer than she had to. When they went downstairs, Harry opened the car door for Helen before getting in the back seat. As if having the owner of Global Investment as her support wasn't enough, she now has James too. How can Kim be this lucky? Feels like all the powerful people in the city are joining her side. It'll be harder to deal with her in the future. Helen smiled slyly.
Rather than Kim, what Stephen did was beyond my expectations. He's been acting strangely these days. Leaving him by Kim's side won't do us any good. Let's pay Natalie a visit.
Late in the afternoon, Natalie was surprised to see Helen and Harry standing outside the door.
Mom, what are you doing here?
Natalie was nervous when Helen didn't say anything.
Are you looking for Kim? She hasn't been back since she went to work this morning. You know how hard-working she is.
Helen remained silent. She walked past Natalie and sat on the couch in the living room.
Natalie, how many years have passed since you married into this family? I believe it's been more than 30 years.
Harry sat next to Helen, while Natalie took a seat across from them.
33 years.
It's been that long already, huh? I'm going to be frank with you. It's not easy to earn money these days. Aren't you afraid of having Stephen lingering around your daughter?
What do you mean?
Kim is capable, and she has a wealthy supporter. There's nothing she wouldn't be able to do in the future. But having Stephen as her husband will hold her back. Doesn't it seem like Stephen has an ulterior motive for staying by her side? Recently, Kim's been listening to him instead of her own grandmother. That's not necessarily a good thing. Don't you agree?
Harry chimed in. Grandma's right. Once Kim becomes the head of the family, having a husband like Stephen will ruin her reputation. And that means our family's image will be tarnished as well. If Stephen continues to stay here, I'm afraid Grandma might have to reconsider having Kim as her successor. Natalie started panicking when she heard that this might affect Kim's position as the successor.
Mom, that's not right. You publicly named Kim as the successor at the press conference. You can't go back on your word.
It hadn't been long since Natalie told everyone she knew about Kim's achievements. If Helen were to retract her statement and name someone else as her successor, she and Kim would be humiliated.
Natalie, there's a simple solution to this problem, Helen said. All you have to do is come up with a way to kick Stephen out of your house. This is for you, Kim, and the Cassidy family.
Aunt Natalie, if you don't get rid of Stephen now, I'm afraid the rest of the family won't agree to Kim being the successor much longer, Harry added. To Natalie, Stephen was nothing but dead weight. He was limiting her daughter's future.
I understand. I'll try to think of a way to kick him out of our house.
Good answer. I'll be going now. I trust that you'll take care of it.
Helen glanced at Harry, who took this as their cue to leave. At this time, Kim and Stephen were having dinner together at Christina's hotel. Thank you for what you did today, Kim said. Stephen pretended to be confused. Why are you thanking me? Still playing dumb with me? I'm thanking you for helping me at the Century Garden. I don't know how you convinced James to come, but either way, I'm glad you were with me. If Kim hadn't decided to ask Stephen to come with her, she would have fallen into the trap that Helen and Harry had meticulously set up. Not only would she have been fired from the company, she might have also been kicked out of the family. Stephen took a sip of wine. He didn't confirm nor deny his involvement. "You're beautiful, and you're kind. It's natural for people to want to help you." Kim looked down at her hands to hide her embarrassment. "Can you close your eyes?" This time, Stephen was genuinely confused. "What's the matter?" "Don't ask questions, and just do what I said." "All right." Stephen obediently closed his eyes, but he continued to chatter. "Are you trying to surprise me with a gift? You didn't have to get me anything. We're husband and wife." Kim leaned over and pressed a kiss to his cheek, effectively shutting him up. Stephen's eyes snapped open as he touched his face in disbelief. Kim averted her gaze. "Don't think too much. I was just expressing my gratitude." If it weren't for Stephen, she might have burst into tears in front of the entire family today. He was the only one on her side when she was forced into a corner. She didn't regret giving him her first kiss. Kim, it was too sudden, so I didn't have time to prepare myself. Can you maybe do it again?" Anticipation was written all over Stephen's face. "You're shameless," Kim chided. After a moment, she met his gaze and added, "Actually, there's something I've been meaning to clarify. I've never met the owner of Global Investment before. There's nothing going on between me and him. When I meet him, I'll return the necklace and the villa." Kim was worried that if she didn't explain herself now, Stephen would misunderstand further down the line. He fiddled with his glass before looking at her with a serious expression. "Since you've been so honest with me, I also have something to say. To tell you the truth, I've been hiding something from you." The serious look on Stephen's face piqued Kim's interest. "Okay, what is it?" "I'm actually not the owner of Global Investments fan." "Oh, is that all? When you first announced that to the family, I was really surprised. I even suspected that he sent you here as a spy. But after thinking about it later, I realized that no one would fall for a spy like you," Kim teased with a smile. As the two of them chatted, a familiar voice called out to Stephen. He turned around and saw Tiffany approaching their table. She was the pianist from last week. "What a coincidence," Stephen said. He signaled to her with his eyes not to expose him. Kim also remembered Tiffany, but she was surprised that she and Stephen were on such friendly terms. Aside from Stephen critiquing Tiffany's performance, they didn't talk to each other that much. "Are you two friends?" Tiffany didn't hesitate to sit next to Stephen. "That's right, Miss Kim. I'm so envious that you have such an amazing husband." Kim's mood soured when she saw how close Stephen and Tiffany were. Tiffany quickly lost interest in Kim. She looked at Stephen with sparkling eyes. "Where have you been? I've been looking for you. You haven't contacted me ever since that day." Stephen realized that Kim might misunderstand Tiffany's words. "Why are you looking for me? Also, please don't talk as if we meet often. We've only met once, and that was at the hotel last week." Stephen gave Kim an apologetic look. He had only just made substantial progress with his wife. Why did Tiffany have to come out of nowhere and ruin everything? If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have revealed his piano skills to her. Tiffany noticed the awkward atmosphere. She looked at Kim and then at Stephen. "I think I came at a bad time. Since you're not free today, how about we add each other on social media? It'll be more convenient for us to communicate if anything were to happen." "I don't think that's necessary." Before Stephen could stop her, the phone in his pocket fell into Tiffany's hands. She returned his phone a minute later. "It's done. By the way, I left you a message so you know it's me. It says, 'Beautiful Tiffany.'" Tiffany moved closer to Stephen and whispered in his ear, "I'm leaving now. Let's meet again when you're free." Kim glared at Tiffany's back as she walked away. What did she say before she left? Stephen hesitated. "Nothing much." He couldn't tell Kim what Tiffany said. That would be the end of him. Since Stephen didn't want to tell her the truth, Kim grabbed her handbag and headed to the door. Stephen silently cursed Tiffany as he ran after Kim. "Wait for me!" Kim was still angry after they got home. When she opened the door, the mess on the floor took her by surprise. "Mom, what are you doing?" Why did you move all of Stephen's things into the living room? Stephen followed Kim inside. He frowned when he saw his clothes scattered on the floor. Natalie got up from the couch when she saw Stephen. It's obviously because I need to kick him out of the house. Kim suppressed her anger and tried to be as patient as she possibly could. Stephen is my husband. Where is he supposed to go? Who are you calling your husband? Kim, don't forget. For the past 3 years, he's been freeloading off of us. Because of him, our family is about to become the laughingstock of the city. Not only that, he's also hindering your future success. I've had enough. Laughingstock? Hindering my future? Mom, have you ever evaluated Stephen from a perspective that doesn't involve his career and finances? He cooks, cleans, and takes care of the house whether we're busy or not. What has he done wrong? Stephen and I are married. If you really want to kick him out, then I'll leave with him. Kim was already in a bad mood since their run-in with Tiffany. She didn't expect an even bigger problem waiting for them at home. She was so close to losing her patience. Kim, I'm doing this for your own good. Having him by your side will only hold you back. That's not for you to decide, Kim yelled. Stephen glanced at the kitchen and noticed 2 glasses of water on the table. Mom, did Grandma come over? Natalie was startled when he exposed her, but she quickly regained her composure. Why does that matter? The point is that I've endured your presence for 3 years. If I were you, I would have been too embarrassed and left on my own a long time ago. I see, but even if I leave today, by the end of the month at the latest, you and Grandma will be begging me to come back. Natalie laughed, as if she had just heard the funniest joke. That will never happen. Stephen, you can't leave like this, Kim said. Don't worry, it'll only be for a few days. I'll be back before you know it. Kim was frustrated when she couldn't get through to him. Fine, do whatever you want. I don't care. Then I'll be leaving first. Call me if you need me, Stephen whispered. He gave Natalie a cold look. Mom, I'll send you the address. Don't get lost when you come to find me. With that, Stephen left the house without looking back. Natalie was confident that she would never have to look for him. Kim, since he's gone, shouldn't you divorce him now? Even if I die, I won't divorce Stephen, Kim shouted. She stormed off to her room and slammed the door behind her. She couldn't understand why he willingly left without putting up a fight. After Stephen left the house, he drove to Colin's house. I'll be staying here for the next few days. Colin was flattered to have the Grand Palace Master at his residence. Understood. I'll make arrangements. It's fine. I can just stay in the room next to Matthew's. How's he doing, by the way? Don't worry, Mr. Adams. He's been recovering well. With my skills, it won't be long before he makes a full recovery, Colin said proudly. When Stephen opened the door, he saw Matthew exercising on the floor. He took a seat at the table and poured himself a glass of water. Looks like you're feeling better. Matthew got to his feet. I owe you my life, Stephen. Don't hesitate to give me orders. I'll fulfill them to the best of my ability. It wasn't that big of a deal. Anyway, I have some free time for the next few days. I'll help you with what you want to do. I'm not sure if this is the right time for that. He controls the underworld in San Francisco. It won't be easy to get close to him, much less get rid of him. You don't have to worry about that. It'll be good enough as long as you can recognize him. I'll never forget his face, Matthew said bitterly. Good. Rest up tonight. We'll leave tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. Stephen left and went to the room next door. Jack and Colin were waiting for him inside. Mr. Adams, you don't have to personally deal with them yourself. If you just say the word, we'll annihilate them any time, Jack advised. Colin nodded in agreement. He's right. There's really no need for you to risk your life. If anything happens to you, the world will be overrun with chaos and panic. Stephen didn't respond to their warnings. Do you know who wants to kill Matthew? Who's in charge of San Francisco's underworld? Jack and Colin exchanged a glance. He used to have a different surname, but he currently goes by Roland Adams. Roland was one of the Adams family's chess pieces. Their goal was to control San Francisco's underworld behind the scenes to start several mysterious businesses. With Roland as their figurehead, they made at least $100 billion worth of income every year. Stephen didn't have any plans of visiting Washington, D.C. right now. Matthew's enemy turning out to be Roland was in his favor. Getting rid of Roland meant destroying one of the Adam family's means of profit and helping Matthew get his revenge. This would be killing two birds with one stone. The next day, Jack drove Stephen and Matthew out of the city to a restaurant located in a shady neighborhood of San Francisco. "You can go back. Matthew and I will handle this," Stephen said. Even though Jack was worried, he could only follow Stephen's instructions. After Jack left, they went inside the restaurant and ordered a few dishes. While they were eating, Matthew scanned the interior and noticed the strange atmosphere. Besides them two, everyone else appeared to be ruffians. Several of them were covered in tattoos. Last night, the palace had sent Stephen detailed information regarding San Francisco's underworld. He read through as much as he could to familiarize himself with their hierarchy and their bases in the city. This wasn't an ordinary restaurant. It was more of a place where people from the underworld gathered. The boss of this restaurant was a man named Stanley. He was one of Roland's 36 subordinates. Because he wasn't skilled in flattery, he was gradually alienated from Roland and his other subordinates. "Wait, Stephen, did you come here to—" Before Matthew could finish his sentence, Stephen called out to the cashier. "Boss, pay up!" The cashier stood up from behind the desk. "What are you yelling for? What do you mean, pay up? You're the customer." Stephen continued to shout without restraint. "Do you work here? Shouldn't you come over and take a look at the problem?" The cashier strode over to their table and glared at Stephen and Matthew. These idiots didn't know who they were messing with. Causing trouble at this restaurant was a death sentence. Stephen pointed to one of the dishes on the table. "Look carefully. There's a strand of hair." Then, under the astonished gazes of the crowd, he pulled a strand of hair from Matthew's head and put it on the plate. The cashier waved his hand, and 10 people carrying iron rods surrounded the table. "What are you two playing at? Do you know who owns this restaurant? Stanley. Anyone who hears his name around these parts would know better than to run their mouths." Stephen drummed his fingers on the table. "Is this considered provoking your boss? Let me show you what it really means to provoke someone." The people surrounding their table took a cautious step back. This seemingly harmless young man was unexpectedly— Matthew was just as surprised as they were. So this was the infamous good-for-nothing son-in-law of the Cassidy family. Wouldn't they be scared if they were to find out what he was really like? The cashier clutched his head and screamed, "Why are you all standing around? Get him!" Matthew was stunned when Stephen didn't move. Was he scared out of his mind? What happened to his confidence from earlier? "What are you doing? Let's get out of here!" Matthew grabbed Stephen's arm, planning to drag him out of the restaurant. But no matter how much strength he used, Stephen didn't budge an inch. "Calm down," Stephen said. The cashier trembled in fear. "Who are you?" Stephen didn't reply. "Tell me, where's Stanley?" Stephen's intent made the cashier unable to refuse. He's at an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs," he stuttered. Stephen looked back at Matthew. "Let's go." Matthew glanced at the group of men, who were holding their arms in pain, before following Stephen out of the restaurant. "Ever since we left the city, it feels like you've become a completely different person." Stephen chuckled. "Maybe this is the real me." Matthew gave him a thoughtful look. In Los Angeles, Stephen was an ordinary son-in-law. But outside of the city, he was a fearsome man who was not to be trifled with. Fortunately, they started out as friends. Otherwise, Matthew would have subconsciously put his guard up whenever he was with Stephen after discovering this side of him. Stanley was with a young woman at the abandoned warehouse. "You'd better behave. If you act out of line, don't blame me for playing rough." The woman retreated to a corner. "Don't hold this against me. Roland was the one who told me to kidnap you. I'm just his lackey. Who am I to go against his orders? But don't worry, your father is the head of the Meyer family. As long as he gives us $1 billion, I guarantee that you'll be able to leave this place safely. Stanley glanced at his phone when it rang. It's your father. When Stanley picked up, a commanding voice sounded from the other end of the line.
Where is my daughter? Let her go, and I can pretend like this never happened.
I don't think you understand the position you're in. Your daughter is with us. You don't have the right to make demands. After Stanley hung up, someone knocked on the door. He wasn't expecting anyone, so whoever was outside intended to cause trouble. Stanley instructed one of his people to keep an eye on the woman before heading to the door with the others. Stephen took a step into the warehouse. Are you Stanley? Stanley didn't recognize him, so he was afraid of acting rashly against someone with this much strength. Yes, that's me. May I ask who you are? Who I am is of no concern to you. I'll give you 3 options. 1, 2, surrender. 3, work for me. Stanley looked past him and spotted Matthew. Shouldn't he be... Are you Matthew's subordinate? Did he ask you for help? Seeing as you came without backup, you must have a dish. I'll leave these small fries to you, Stephen said. Got it. Instead of tackling the group head-on, Matthew leapt into the air and landed directly in the middle of the fray. Stephen slowly walked up to Stanley. I know why you're here. You're bolder than you look. Where did you get the courage to kidnap the daughter of one of the top families in San Francisco? Besides information on the underworld, the palace had also sent Stephen information on their members' recent movements. It was detailed and straight to the point. Stanley tensed. Their plan was highly confidential. Not just anyone could have caught wind of it. How did you find out about that? Matthew made quick work of Stanley's men and returned to Stephen's side. Haven't you realized your situation yet? Why do you think Roland dared to mess with the Meyer family? It's because he never planned on taking responsibility. What are you trying to say, Matthew? Roland wants to get rid of you. After you get the $1 billion, he'll take the money and force you to take the blame. Even if you reveal Roland as the mastermind, who will believe you? There's no evidence. Of course, things don't have to play out this way. Turn your back and cut all ties with him. Stanley thought it over. Ever since he kidnapped the daughter of the Meyer family, the entire city has been in an uproar. Every media outlet was fighting over the chance to report on the kidnapping. The situation was getting out of hand. Every time Stanley gave Roland a call, his only concern was whether he had received the money or not. It was safe to say that Roland was in a rush to run off with the money and put the blame on his shoulders. Stanley wasted no time. Matthew, I'll be your loyal follower. If you're planning to get rid of Roland, then count me in. You're pledging your loyalty to the wrong person, Matthew gestured to Stephen. He's the real boss. Stanley shifted his gaze to Stephen. I'll gladly work for you. Stephen was indifferent as he held out his hand. Get up and give me your bank card. Stanley was confused, but he took out a card from his wallet and gave it to him anyway. Stephen took a picture and sent a message before tossing Stanley his card. Leave the girl to me and report back to Roland. Report? I can't go back empty-handed. I just asked someone to wire you $1 billion. Give that money to Roland. Stanley stared at Stephen as he walked into the warehouse. He had originally thought that Matthew was following some kind of big shot, but it turned out to be it was in over his head. After leaving this place, Stanley planned to take his people and go into hiding. Before he could do anything, his phone vibrated, notifying him of an incoming text. Stanley's hand shook when he read the message. He had just received $1 billion. Who in the world could transfer $1 billion with a single message? And to a stranger, no less. The more Stanley thought about it, the more excited he became. Wouldn't it be a blessing to work for such an incredible person? Stanley motioned for his people to get up and follow him out of the warehouse. Matthew knew that Stanley had received the $1 billion, as promised from his reaction when he checked the phone. Wasn't that a bit hasty? What if he runs away with your money? It's only a small amount. Besides, he'll if he betrays me. $1 billion was a small amount? Matthew was beginning to feel like he never knew Stephen at all. As they went further inside, they noticed a young woman in the corner. Stephen thought she looked familiar, but didn't think too much of it. "Untie her." Matthew nodded and went over to the woman. He untied the rope and removed the blindfold. After she was freed, she rubbed her wrists and ankles.
"Did you two come to save me?"
"No, we just happened to be passing by. You should hurry up and go home," Matthew said. The woman looked at Matthew and then at Stephen, who stood close by. Her eyes widened when she recognized Stephen. She ran over and hugged him from behind.
"Is it really you, Stephen? You're here because you came to save me, right?"
Stephen struggled to get her off of him. "Let go of me!" When he finally managed to pull her arms away and turned around to face her, he was surprised to see who it was. "Tiffany, why is it you again?"
"Hey, stop pretending. You came here on purpose because you knew that I was in danger. What do you mean you were just passing by? I don't believe that one bit. Oh yeah, do you want to divorce Kim and take me as your wife instead?"
Stephen felt a headache coming on. "Matthew, take her home. I'll wait for you at the hotel." Tiffany quickly hid behind Stephen.
"No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm coming with you."
"We have important matters to take care of," Matthew said sternly. "Come with me. I'll take you home." Tiffany put her hands on her hips.
"Important matters? Stephen, bring me along. I'm the daughter of the Meyer family. Everyone will listen to you if I tell them my name."
Stephen ignored her and walked away. Matthew gave Tiffany an unimpressed look. "If you're really that powerful, how did you let yourself get kidnapped and taken to the middle of nowhere?" Tiffany was at a loss for words, but thinking of a comeback wasn't important right now. When she saw Stephen getting further and further away, she had no choice but to use her last resort.
"Stephen, if you don't take me with you, I'll go back to Los Angeles and tell Kim that you were fooling around with me on a business trip."
Stephen stopped and gritted his teeth. He never should have commented on Tiffany's performance, nor should he have shown her his piano skills. "Fine, you can come." Tiffany smiled triumphantly and ran to catch up with him.
"At least you're sensible."
Stephen glanced at her. "I have a question. Do you have a twin? Compared to your personality when I met you as a pianist, why are you now so rude?"
"Are you interested? Mr. Glenn taught me that. He told me one has to be dignified and graceful when playing the piano. This is the real me."
"Your acting deserves an Oscar." Tiffany grinned.
"I also want to ask you a question. Why did you marry into the Cassidy family? They're small compared to my family."
"Because the meals that Kim's family prepares are delicious." His answer left Tiffany speechless. That evening, Tiffany refused to leave Stephen's side. There was a knock on the door. When Stephen opened the door, it surprised Tiffany to see her kidnapper on the floor.
"Stephen, are you one of the bad guys?"
Stephen ignored Tiffany and told Stanley to come in. "Yes, sir." Stanley stood up and went inside. Tiffany knew that Stephen was a member of one of the largest underworld organizations, the Black Dragon Guild. Why would he treat Stephen with respect? "I'm very sorry for questioning you in the afternoon." "Okay, did you do what I told you to?" "Yes, I've already sent Roland the $1 billion you gave me, and I also told him that I let Tiffany go." "Good work. Head back to the Black Dragon Guild and go about your daily life. Find an opportunity to bring me Roland's account book. I'll deal with them in 2 days." Stephen planned on using the account books to see if there were any discrepancies in the transactions between Roland and the Addams family. "Understood," Stanley said. After he left the room in a hurry, Tiffany immediately started bombarding Stephen with questions.
"Did you give $1 billion to Roland? Just to save me? Wait, you can't be thinking of killing him, right? He has the entire underworld in San Francisco under his control. Even my dad can't do whatever he wants when it comes to Roland."
There were also questions that Tiffany didn't voice, like where did the $1 billion come from? And weren't you just a useless son-in-law? Stephen ignored all of her questions. His words caught Tiffany off guard. She glared at Stephen before running out of the room. Sooner or later, she would take him down. At that time, he wouldn't dare to keep any secrets from her. The next day, Stephen went downstairs for lunch with Matthew and Tiffany.
How many casinos does the Black Dragon Guild have in this city?
As far as I know, they have at least 100 casinos, Matthew said. There's a large casino located in the eastern, western, northern, and southern parts of the city. I heard they make hundreds of millions every day. Are you asking because you want to try our hand at gambling?
Yeah, it's about time I take back my $1 billion. It'll be a waste to leave it in that guy's hands. All right, we need to get ready and leave soon. There are 4 main casinos, so we don't have much time.
Stephen, it's fine if you want to go, but I'm someone that Roland wants to...
And Tiffany is someone he ordered Stanley to kidnap.
Stephen's eyes twinkled with amusement.
Don't worry, I'll dress you two up. I guarantee that no one will be able to recognize you.
When he traveled with the priest in the past, he had learned a thing or two about disguises. Matthew and Tiffany exchanged a glance. They had a feeling that whatever Stephen had planned for them couldn't be anything good. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Helen paid Natalie another visit.
Well done. Someone like Stephen doesn't deserve to stay here. He only knows how to bring shame to our family.
I agree.
All right, now that Stephen's not here anymore, will Kim be able to keep her position as vice president?
Of course, Helen replied with a smile. However, what she didn't tell Natalie was that now that Stephen was out of the picture, Kim no longer had his support or the backing of the owner of Global Investment. Kim would have no choice but to go along with her demands.
Thank you, Mom.
They were interrupted by the sound of the doorbell. Natalie went to open the door. A man in a suit was standing outside. Good afternoon. I'm from the real estate company that manages these villas.
Oh, so you're a real estate agent. Please come in and have a seat.
The agent accepted her invitation and took a seat on the couch. I won't bother you any longer than I have to. I'm here to collect the property fees on behalf of the company.
Is that all? I thought there was a bigger problem. All right, tell me how much it is. I'll give you enough for the year so you don't have to come every month. The Cassidy family is well known in this city, so we can't have people misunderstanding that we can't afford to pay for our own properties. Isn't that right, Mom? That's right. Since you kicked Stephen out of the house, I'll help you pay this month's property fees. Consider it as my gift to you.
Helen would take over this villa sooner or later, so she should take advantage of this opportunity and build a good relationship with the agent.
You have my thanks.
Natalie turned back to the agent.
See, our Cassidy family has more than enough to pay the fees. How much is it?
Of course, I'm well aware that you're one of the top families in the city. A family of your caliber will only consider the fees as a small amount. The agent took out a document from his briefcase. Let me see. The fees for this villa is $5 million per month, while the cost of the villa on the first level is $3 million. Natalie and Helen were shocked beyond words. $5 million a month would be $60 million a year. Where would they get this amount of money from?
$5 million a month? Natalie exclaimed. Are you sure this is legal? Is there any company that charges as much as you do? If you're messing around, I can file a complaint with the Bureau of Commodity Prices right now.
The agent smiled. Our contracts have been approved by the Bureau of Commodity Prices. I can assure you that they're up to date with the recent guidelines. Helen shook her head.
That doesn't sound right. I heard from one of the families that used to live here that the property fees were only $100,000 a month.
Miss Helen, there used to be many families living here, but now there's only 2. Helen looked at Natalie in confusion.
Then who paid last month's fees? I don't know, but I remember seeing Stephen at the real estate company last month. I bumped into him just as he was leaving. That's impossible. If he had that kind of money, why would he marry into our family?
Helen turned to the agent.
Please tell us who paid last month.
Mr. Adams, of course. He's the owner of these villas.
Mr. Adams? Are you referring to Stephen?
The agent gave them a strange look. Yes, Stephen is Mr. Adams' first name. You two seem a little confused. Aren't you his relatives? I assumed you were aware that Mr. Adams is the owner of these villas.
Doesn't that mean that Stephen is the owner of Global Investment? Natalie exclaimed. No, that doesn't make sense. Everyone's been calling him useless for the past 3 years, but he's never once talked back. How could he possess that much wealth?
A thought struck Helen.
Wait, Stephen said he's a fan of the owner of Global Investment. Maybe they meet often, and that's what people misunderstood, that he's rich too. You're right, Mom. This must be one of Stephen's tricks. He really knows how to take advantage of other people. How could he parade around like he's the owner of these villas? That's not important right now. We need to get him to come back. The owner of Global Investment probably left his card or something with Stephen, and he must have wanted to keep that money for himself.
Natalie took out her phone and dialed Stephen's number.
Don't worry, Mom. I'll give him a call.
When the call went through, Natalie yelled into the phone.
Where are you? Come back and pay the property fees. If the owner of Global Investment finds out you've taken his money, he won't let you go.
Stephen only scoffed in response before hanging up. Natalie stared at her phone when the line went dead.
How dare you hang up on me?
She called again, but Stephen had turned off his phone. The agent was getting impatient.
Excuse me, about the property fees?
Natalie opened her mouth, but she didn't know what to say. Helen responded in place of Natalie.
It's not a big amount, but we don't have a checkbook with us. Please head back for today. We'll send someone over to pay it in 2 days.
I understand. I'll be waiting at the real estate company.
The agent said his goodbyes and left.
I don't care how you do it, but you have to bring him back within 2 days,
Helen demanded. This was the first time she had been this humiliated. Natalie reluctantly agreed. Helen was the one who told her to kick Stephen out of the house. Why was she shifting the blame onto her? At this time, Stephen was in front of a casino with 2 ladies. One of the ladies was wearing heavy makeup, and she was giving Stephen an exasperated look.
Was this really necessary?
The lady's deep voice oddly resembled Matthew's. The other lady, whose voice strangely sounded like Tiffany's, crossed her arms in annoyance.
Did you do this because you're holding a grudge against me?
There was nothing out of the ordinary about her, but if someone were to take a closer look, they would realize that she was wearing multiple layers beneath her coat. Stephen forced himself not to laugh.
Let's go inside.
He led them into the casino. The interior was grand, and the lighting accentuated the luxurious furnishings. The casino was bustling with people, and the atmosphere was lively. Tiffany followed Stephen closely.
Are you sure you can do it? My dad told me it's not easy for people to win here.
Matthew looked around. He never had much experience with gambling, not even when he was at the head of San Francisco's underworld.
It looks complicated. They probably have a lot of tricks set up. Are you confident in winning?
Stephen shrugged.
I don't know. It's my first time here.
Tiffany and Matthew were stunned. This was his first time here? Then why was he so confident that he would win back his $1 billion? More importantly, he even disguised them in this strange getup. If he didn't win, wouldn't that mean this was all for nothing? Stephen pointed to a table not far away.
Why are you guys being so fussy? Come on, let's get down to business. Let's go and gamble.
Why do I feel like he's unreliable? Tiffany muttered. Despite his doubts, Matthew defended Stephen.
Don't worry, I believe in him.
In the brief second they took their eyes off of Stephen, he disappeared into the crowd. Not even 1 minute later, the sound of arguing sounded from one of the tables. A man wearing a gold chain around his neck was cursing at Stephen.
You don't know the first thing about casinos. Why are you betting with money? The first thing you do when you come to a place like this should be exchanging your money for chips. If you don't even know something as simple as that, you should just leave.
Tiffany and Matthew looked at each other before squeezing through the crowd.
What's going on?
Matthew whispered. Stephen gave them a confused look.
Do I need chips to gamble?
Tiffany and Matthew stared at him in disbelief.
Hi, I'm Stephen.
Want to know my secrets?
Then download the Pocket FM app and listen to the exciting episodes of Secret Succession now.
Pocket FM. To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.